So, John,
Hi, John.
at Stevenage on Valentine's Day, after the final whistle, we were waiting quite a long time for the players to come out of the changing room. Back then, did you think we could then go on a 3-game winning run with 3 clean sheets?
No. No, after that game, that was the lowest point of the season for me. When Gary came out, he looked demoralised, which is what Carlisle were tonight, as Gary said. And the turnaround since then has been remarkable, really. But you can't say Cheltenham didn't deserve to win the game tonight against one of the best teams in the division. If it had been 0-0, I think it would have been harsh on Cheltenham. And I was sort of writing a report saying that even though Cheltenham had drawn again, it was far better performance than when we drew at Carlisle early in the season. But the goal came and it was thoroughly deserved.
On the media side of things, Keith Curle's obviously come out being pretty critical of the pitch. What are your views on his view?
Well, my view on that is I think Cheltenham are going to have to get used to that between now and the end of the season. That if a team turns up at Wadden Road and loses, that it's an easy excuse, isn't it? But it's the same for both teams. There are a lot of poor pitches in this division. There's a lot of poor pitches all over the country. Keith Curle, somebody made a very good point in the press box earlier. That Keith Curle played in an era where most of the pitches were like this all the time. So it's not an excuse. It's not why they lost tonight, in my opinion. Cheltenham are a better team, and Cheltenham actually managed to play some surprisingly good football on it.
After that sort of doom and gloom we all felt at Stevenage, to now sit 9 points clear of the drop zone is pretty good feeling.
Yeah, it's funny. Gary Johnson, I mean, he tends to go on runs, doesn't he? And last season was almost one long winning run. The first half of this season was difficult. He said that he would turn it around, and the second half of the season was going to be a lot better, and he's delivered. You have to say that of the 9 players he brought in January, most of them have made a really big impact. Most of them played tonight, and most of them have looked good signings. There's 1 or 2 that aren't getting in, but most of them have been good, and there's cover there if needed. So it's been a massive January, probably more so than ever with the loan rules. You had to get it right in January, otherwise Cheltenham were going down. And after Notts County and Stevenage, a few people were worrying. I think everyone was, but this team is now developing very quickly, and it wasn't a fluke tonight. It was a good, solid, deserved win.
How do you rate our survival chances going forward?
I'd be very surprised if Cheltenham went down now. I think there's on paper this is one of the hardest games left. There are still some hard games to come, but I can't see a team closing a 9-point gap at the bottom of the table. I know Cheltenham have just been on a 3-game winning run, but looking at Orient on Saturday, I can't see them going on a 4-match winning run, and I think Cheltenham can look up now. Hopefully, another thing I wrote in my match report, which you can read in the Echo, was Cheltenham finished 17th under Mark Yates, and then, which was a pretty poor season, and then the next year they went to the playoff final. I'm not saying that Cheltenham have to get to the playoff final next year, but I think Gary Johnson will probably be aiming for it, looking at this team now.
Brilliant, cheers John.
Cheers.